Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hello and welcome. My name is Krista and today I wanted to bring you on a flip through of my DIY Hobonichi Techo, which I'm currently using as my memory keeping journal. If you're only interested in the flip through itself, I'll be sure to add timestamps below so you can skip ahead. But if you don't mind a little story time, I wanted to give some background. So I've been using Hobonichi since 2021, but I've only used the weeks before. And then last year, for the first time ever, I tried a different format of the Hobonichi and I went with the A6 Hon, and I got this in this very gorgeous Liberty Fabrics Emma and Georgina cover, and I really loved it. So I loved it so much that I wanted to replicate it this year and still do my memory keeping in an A6 Hon. I actually wanted to get the Payson Blossom because I still wanted a Liberty Fabrics cover. But due to financial reasons, I really wasn't able to buy any Hobonichi for this year. So I remembered that I had this, and this is a graph notebook with the Tomitaro Makino Yamazakura cover. So I've had this notebook since 2023 because I bought this during the 2023 spring release. But I really didn't have any use for it, and due to my circumstance this year, I finally found a purpose. So I told myself I wanted to replicate what I did in this Hon here, and since this is a blank notebook, there's a lot of freedom in it. Might as well use this for my memory keeping. So I did. So when I say DIY Hobonichi Techo, it's a very loose term, and what I just mean is that I was able to find a way to mimic how the original Hon is able to do the one-day, one-page format. So as you can see here, every month is color-coded. So I wanted the same concept. And although you have a lot of freedom in a blank notebook, I still wanted a sense of uniformity when I did my memory keeping here. So I searched for the perfect system and I found it. And what I gathered from my research is these calendar date stickers. So as you can see, every month is also color coded, although it's not a uniform color per month, but it's like in the same family. And I really appreciated that because it reminded me so much of the color coding in the Techo. So I bought this, and what I loved about this is that I'm not required to do journaling every day. So for example, as you can see here, this is the month of September and I've only used a few of the dates. So for the other ones, I just didn't do anything. I just didn't journal anything, and it's not really as bad when you miss a day in here, because since the format is already fixed in the original Techo, a blank page is kind of glaring. I mean, through the whole of this year, I've been trying my best to appreciate that blank pages are normal and it's part of life. And even a blank page is also like a reminder that you didn't have anything that day, or you weren't in the mood to journal that day. So it's still kind of an entry. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the calendar stickers help a lot in making me appreciate this DIY memory keeping journal more, because I only use the sticker when I want to journal or when I have an entry for that day. So it's not really missing anything when I don't use the other dates. So I guess I've rambled on enough. Let's begin with the flip through. First, let's take out everything. So these are all like ephemera for my memory keeping journal that I still have to put. There's a story behind this, and I'm gonna tell you about it later. But for now, let us start. So this is the very first page, and this is actually how I combat the fear of the first blank page. So what I do is decorate it to make it pretty. That way I'm not pressured that the first page is my writing, so I don't have to like criticize it or overthink it too much. So I just put on these different stickers, and I actually have here live life in full bloom, which I think is a very good mantra to have for a memory keeping journal. So there's that. And then immediately when I decided to make this my memory keeping journal, I started right away. So because I was like impulsive in starting this right away, I totally forgot about a monthly cover page. So that's why I started with a date. So this is January 1st. This is just an ephemera for that day because my sister-in-law gave me and my husband a gift. And I just wanted to commemorate it here. And it's very simple. I'm not a very artistic person, so most of the things here are just ephemera. Maybe there are some doodles, but mostly it's this straightforward. So there's an ephemera and there's an entry, and that's it. So especially in January, I was still like feeling how I felt about the new system. So I would just use a sticker and then make an entry. So it's also one of the good things about this, because unlike the format in the original Techo where you really get one whole page and there's kind of a pressure to fill out that whole page per day, here when I only have a very short entry for a day, I can just stick a sticker, write a very brief entry, and that's it. Then, when it was February, I realized about the label, but I still wasn't able to make a whole like cover page for it. So I just decided to make a lettering of the month. I also like practicing some lettering or calligraphy, so I sometimes do quotes like that. If you're familiar with Bubu and Dudu, they're so cute, so I decided to draw. So this is in February. This is the christening of my friend's baby. So this is how I usually do ephemera. Some, because I don't have a printer, I usually use a lot of stickers because I have hoarded quite a bit during the pandemic. So, for example, this is not an actual photo of our day, but since we were on a cafe and we were trying desserts, I just figured like this sticker could be some form of representation for that moment. And then this is also how I do ephemera usually. So this is like a card for the giveaway that my friend did for the christening, and I just took the photo. I covered the baby's face and her name, but I usually take the ephemera, paste it, and then write an entry about that day. And then it was March, and finally I was able to like allocate a whole page for the cover page. I just had fun. So usually I follow the color scheme of that month. So for March, it was kind of like an orange theme. That's why I decorated it like this. Just like one of those Techo things. So another ephemera, sometimes I just paste it. But oftentimes, especially if the ephemera is this big, I do it like this. Like paste it, but like I have written an entry behind it. Like that. And this was a week where we house sit for my parents because they were on a trip to Japan, and then we were the house sitters and the babysitters for their dog Flappy. So usually because we spent the whole week at my parents' house, I just did it like this. Just to indicate that most of this week was like spent in one place. It's more like a layout choice. So more lettering, maybe some washi and stickers to decorate. And then we're on to May. I really love this cover page that I did. And another thing that I love about this DIY Techo is sometimes you're overwhelmed with one whole page, but sometimes one whole page is not enough in the original Techo. But here, if there's a lot that happened in a day, or if you have a lot of thoughts in a day, you're not really restricted into one page because you can go on as much as you want. So this day particularly was quite the memory. That's why it's like that. And then it's June. So this was when I was sick. And this is the pamphlet for the medicine that I took. So you can really make anything an ephemera if you wanted. Sometimes there are burnt receipts. I really don't mind that. It's very realistic. Then it's July. So here is a unique spread, and this is a painting that I did. So I've mentioned that I don't have a printer. That's why a lot of these are just stickers, ephemera, and some journaling cards. But sometimes I do feel like doing a painting, so I did. I'm not an artist, so don't judge me, but this is a painting that I did from a photo. So my stepbrother and his friend visited in June, and then their flight back home was July 2. So my husband and I saw them off at the airport. So this was a photo of us, like a groupie, and then I just copied it and painted it. So now we're moving on to August, and I decided to do another attempt at a painting just when I feel like it. This was during our trip to Zamboanga because my friend got married, and it was also like another vacation for us. Sometimes I even put ephemera like this, so it's quite bulky, but eventually it holds onto the page. And it's September. So this was the day I assembled my gacha, which I got from Japan back in 2023 during our trip there. And I really haven't had the time to open it, but I decided to take it out and finally assemble it because this is the typical Japanese payphone, and I decided to sketch it to commemorate my assembly. Here, another attempt at some doodles. So it was my sister-in-law's birthday, and I decided to draw her cake and then draw our drinks when we went for drinks after dinner. And now we're catching up to this, which is, I think, the very last completed entry. So this is September 29. And today is actually October 16 when I'm filming this, but as you can see, the last attempt at an entry was on September 29, and that's because it was a pretty dramatic time when on the night of September 30, an earthquake hit our city. I mean, the epicenter was on the northern part of our province, but we felt it just the same here. And I was journaling at the time, so I was pretty traumatized during that time. And ever since that day, so the earthquake happened at night on September 30, I was catching up on some of these entries. So I was almost on September 30. But then the earthquake happened during my journaling session. And ever since, I was just freaked out because I kept associating the earthquake with my journaling. So that's why I have tons of ephemera here, because these are the days I need to catch up on, and I still haven't brought myself to journal because I'm just scared. We're still experiencing a lot of aftershocks. Some we can't feel really because they're just minor, but a lot of the aftershocks are still very strong. So I'm pretty freaked out. But I'm hoping I can get back to it and journal again. And that's it so far for my DIY Hobonichi Techo flip through. I know this was kind of a chaotic video because it's a spontaneous one, so I didn't have a script. I just opened this notebook and flipped through it immediately. So I tend to ramble a lot when I don't have a script on hand. But thank you very much for joining me today. If you've made it to the very end, if you've made it to this part of the video, please let me know by commenting a calendar emoji. I really appreciate it. And of course, I reply to all comments. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my future videos. Bye!